The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town, like a skeletal finger pointing accusingly at the heavens. It had been empty for years, ever since the family inside had mysteriously vanished without a trace. Locals whispered tales of the home being haunted, ghostly figures seen through the dusty windows, and disembodied voices echoing from within its dilapidated walls. But no one dared approach it, not even to satisfy their morbid curiosity. That was until I did. It all started when my grandmother passed away. She left me her home, a hefty sum of money, and a cryptic note that simply read, "Burn candles for 7 days." It's confused and saddened by my grandmother's passing. I put the note and her request at the back of my mind. I decided to go to her house, a large Victorian structure with peeling paint and overgrown gardens, to sort through my grief and her belongings. As I opened the front door, a wave of stale air hit me. The house smelled like dust and decay. I walked into the entryway and noticed a set of stairs leading to the second floor, with a door at the end of the hall to my right. The floorboards creaked ominously beneath my feet as I made my way to the kitchen. There, I found a pile of letters addressed to my grandmother. The sight of the unread mail gave me goosebumps. Why had nobody collected it? And where were the people who had sent these letters? These questions only added to the mystery that surrounded this home. After rummaging through some of the rooms, I came across a locked safe in the basement. On the safe's exterior, there was a small slot that looked like it was meant for a key. I searched the house, but couldn't find the key. In the end, I brought the safe to a locksmith, who managed to open it. Inside, I found an old photo album and a diary. As I flipped through the album, I saw pictures of my grandmother as a young girl. In the last photo, I saw an image of my grandmother standing in front of the house with 2 other people. I didn't recognize them, but I knew they must be her family. As I continued to explore the house, I discovered more evidence of my grandmother's former life. In the attic, I found children's clothing and toys, suggesting that she had raised a family here. Oh, what had happened to them? And why had she kept the house after they had left? I pored over the diary entries, hoping to find clues about my grandmother's past and the reason behind the burning candles instruction. In the book, I found a story about a woman who received a mysterious letter instructing her to burn a candle every day for 7 days. After the 7th day, the candle would reveal a secret that could change everything. Intrigued, I decided to follow my grandmother's instructions and burn candles for 7 days. On the first day, I lit a single candle and placed it on the windowsill facing the road. As darkness fell, I watched the flame flicker in the gathering gloom. The second day passed uneventfully, yet a growing sense of anticipation kept me from blowing out the candle. By the 3rd day, people began to stare at the sight of a lone candle burning steadily in the window. Some whispered among themselves, exchanging uneasy glances, while others simply shook their heads in disbelief. On the 4th day, a local priest approached me, his face creased with concern. He tried to convince me to stop the ritual, claiming it was attracting unwanted attention and might invite malevolent spirits into the house. Ignoring his advice, I continued burning the 5th candle, its flame dancing in the wind. The townspeople's reactions ranged from fear to morbid fascination. Some even stopped to take photos, their flashlights momentarily turning the night into day. As the 6th day arrived, the candle burned brightly, casting long shadows that seemed to writhe and twist in the flickering light. Still, nothing out of the ordinary had happened. I started to wonder if my grandmother's cryptic note was a prank or a delusion. On the 7th day, I placed the final candle in the window, my heart heavy with a mixture of apprehension and disappointment. The night wore on, each hour stretching into an eternity. Just as I began to lose hope, a sudden gust of wind extinguished the flame. In the darkness that followed, I heard a soft knock at the front door. My heart pounded in my chest as I crept closer to investigate. The knocking grew louder, more insistent, and I could feel the vibrations of the sound through the floor and up my legs. Slowly, I reached out a trembling hand and opened the door. Standing on my doorstep was a tall, thin man, dressed in clothes that looked like they were from another era. His face was pale and drawn, and his eyes seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. Behind him, I could see the faint outline of a woman and a child. They beckoned to me, their voices distant and echoing. For a moment, I hesitated, torn between the desire to help these lost souls and the primal instinct to flee. Then, remembering my grandmother's gentle nature, I reached out a hand to the man, and he took it. His grip was cold and clammy, like touching a corpse, but his touch spurred me on. We walked through the house to the backyard, where a thick fog had rolled in, obscuring everything beyond a few feet. The man led me to a spot under a gnarled oak tree and gestured for me to dig. With trembling hands, I began to unearth a wooden box. It was old and heavy, its surface adorned with intricate carvings. As I carried the box back to the house, I could feel the presence of the woman and the child with me. Their silent support gave me strength, and I soon had the box inside the entryway. With shaking hands, I lifted the lid, revealing a stack of old photographs and a leather-bound journal. I carefully removed the items, my eyes widening in surprise. Among the photos, I recognized the couple from the picture in my grandmother's diary. Okay, they were younger then, their faces filled with life and hope. But in the other photos, their smiles seemed strained, their eyes distant and haunted. Then I saw myself as a baby, being held by a woman who I knew was my grandmother. But who were the other two people in the pictures, and what had happened to them? As I turned to the journal, its worn leather cover creaking beneath my touch, I felt a surge of determination. I had to know the truth. The first entry I read was dated 1895 and was written by a man who spoke of his love for a woman named Elizabeth and their plans to start a family. Over the next few weeks, I read more entries, each one revealing a piece of the puzzle that was my grandmother's past. In one entry, the man wrote about the birth of his son Thomas and the joy he and Elizabeth felt. But as I continued reading, the tone of the writing changed. The entries became more frantic, filled with fear and paranoia. The man spoke of strange occurrences in the house, whispers in the night, and objects moving on their own. Then, suddenly, the entries stopped. With trembling hands, I opened the next diary, which was filled with entries from Elizabeth. She wrote about the day her husband, John, had gone missing. She had searched everywhere for him, but he was nowhere to be found. As days turned into weeks, her entries became increasingly desperate. She wrote of the haunting presence that had taken over her house and the feeling that she was being watched. Then, in the final entry, she wrote, "I can't take it anymore. I'm going to join John and Thomas. No one else can hurt us now. Signed simply, Elizabeth." As I closed the diary, a chill ran down my spine. What had happened to my grandmother and her family? The house really haunted. And what was the secret the candles were supposed to reveal? Determined to find answers, I continued my investigation. In the attic, I found a hidden compartment containing 2 additional diaries, one from John and one from Elizabeth. Theirs were tragic stories of love, loss, and despair. John's diary revealed that he had been struggling with a dark force within him, something he believed was driving him to madness. Elizabeth's diary told of her increasing fear and paranoia as she felt the presence in the house growing stronger. As the first pieced together their stories, a horrifying realization dawned on me. John had not disappeared. He had been taken by the same force that had haunted his wife and son, a force that was now consuming me. Suddenly, the floorboards above me groaned, and I heard footsteps. Terrified, I ran from the house, not stopping until I reached the safety of my car. I never went back, leaving the house and its secrets behind. But the haunting presence followed me, whispering my name in the darkness, reminding me of the tragedy that unfolded within those 4 walls. And sometimes, when the moon is full and the wind is just right, I can still hear the faint sound of footsteps in the attic, the echo of a family lost to the darkness forever. We hope you enjoyed this chilling tale. If you want to hear more stories like this one. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.